Hello, this is Greg Mirage Cosio, and welcome to KMVR. Today we have a special show with a special guest. We have the legendary radio DJ from back in the day's radio station, KUTE 102. That is, the famous Mr. Lucky Pierre. We also have with us a DJ from back in the day and party promoter, Mr. Adam Guardado. We also have our talented radio and music producer, Lucy Flores. In today's show, I'd like to discuss Southern California's party scene of yesteryear and today, and what were the influences brought on by Lucky Pierre and his famous Saturday morning show at KUTE 102. So first, I'd like to hear from Lucky and his thoughts.
Well, Greg, first of all, let me thank you for having me as your guest here today. I've been looking forward to being with you, and I know you're enjoying doing this show every week, and you're having a lot of fun, and you're doing a great job, and it's my pleasure being with you. To remember the old days back at KUTE 102 takes us back to a time when young people were having a wonderful time dancing. I don't know if it exists exactly the same way today, but disco music was so popular, so hot, and made us all feel good to be part of it in one way or another, either myself as playing it on the radio, or I know you were a disc jockey at that time, and your listeners were the audience at these clubs. I think we all enjoyed ourselves, and it's now you're asking me to remember, to go back, and wow, it's tough, it's hard. They were great times.
Well, for myself, I remember your Saturday morning show, not only being a teenager, but also you would have to do your daily chores, and that was a show to listen to. I mean, the music had a great variety, and it just kept you going, whether you're pulling weeds or washing your car, or, the females were cleaning the house, or whoever was doing what. You needed Lucky Pierre's show just to get you motivated, because you knew when that night came, you were ready. Now, I want to ask one of my guests, Mr. Adam Guardado, what his take on this was. Adam also came about and grew up during the time of the KUTE 102 show. What do you remember about KUTE 102?
I remember I used to listen to it on Saturday mornings, doing yard work, outside. When I first started listening to the music, I got introduced by my two cousins, took me out to La Puente, and ever since then, I've always liked it. I went out to the community center out there, and they would only charge $1.25 to dance, up until like 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock. So ever since then, I've always liked it.
I don't know what made my show different, and I'm not trying to be modest or looking for compliments, but I've heard that so many times from people saying, oh, Saturday morning, KUTE 102 was on the air for 24 hours a day, playing the same music. I don't know why Saturday morning was so important to all of us. I know why it was important to me. I looked forward to it all week long, but I don't know why the audience, Greg, you remember it so well and more than I do. And why was it important to you that time of the day or that time of the week? What made it so different?
Well, it's not something I thought about recently. It's something that just continuously stays in my mind. I mean, I think everybody would agree with me that it's been a whole long time since back in them days. But you know what? That radio show will always remain with us because of the music, because of the personality who had that show, of course yourself, Lucky, and everything that went with it. And I'll be back shortly so we can get into that a little more. This is KMVR, where content is king. All right, I'm back. And again, Lucky Pierre as my special guest here today, and we also have Adam Guardado here on the guest panel. But, well, Lucky asked me, well, what was it about that show? And, I did mention about doing everybody's chores, and everybody did their chores and so forth. But really, I think the music. There was a way that the music was put together. I mean, yes, I mean, we learned to love the disco, but there was some music that was thrown in the mix that kind of like made the show special, made the show really special. You had Herb Albert with Rise, and, you know, you had some jazz here, a little bit of Latin, some Suavecito by Malo, and then you jumped into the disco, and then Lucky would come on and talk. He would tell you the goings-ons, the local parties and events that were happening in the area. I mean, wow, it was just like rock and roll started all over again, except for this time, it was disco. And basically that's what happened. Wow. So, I don't know.
I'm glad to hear you, you know, you felt that way, because that was what I was trying to do for the audience. I looked forward to being on the air on Saturdays. For many reasons. I had a lot of problems of my own during the week with the radio station, with management, and so it was like, oh, I can't wait for Saturday to get to the station, just to get in the studio, and just to play the music that I liked myself. And I picked the music because I liked it, liked the songs, but also because I did so many appearances and went to so many dances that I thought I knew what people liked, or I really wanted to play what they liked. And if I heard a song that the kids wanted to dance to, then I couldn't wait to play it on my show on Saturday. And so it became really not just a job, not just going in and putting in my time, but it was really a labor of love.
Well, I mean, I guess you put that just the way it should have been put. I also have Adam, who is a great fan of Q102. Do you remember anything you heard on Q102? Any song that sticks to your mind? Since Lucky brought up playing the right songs for us.
I remember him playing on the show, and I was in junior high. I believe he was playing Patrick Hernandez, Born to Be Alive.
Born to Be Alive.
I love that song.
I think all the songs got to me, but nothing more than Frangeli and Come to Me, or On the Radio by my all-time favorite, Donna Summer.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll be back with another segment. Please stand by where you'll hear some more Lucky Pierre. Okay, I'm back here at KMVR, where content is king, here with the great Lucky Pierre. Well, a lot has been going on here listening to Lucky, and not only while I was listening, it was bringing back great memories just hearing that voice. Well, I'll tell you one thing, I missed that show a lot, and that was Q102 back in the day, although I've been in contact with Lucky over the many years I've known him. And
you can't get rid of me.
Well, I'm not trying
it's
to
like
get
the
rid
flu. I keep coming back.
You know, we actually meet for lunch probably once a month or whatever at an Italian restaurant in Hollywood. Without saying any names, but Michelli's does have great Italian food. Nevertheless, back to what I was talking about. That morning show had everything. I mean, disco, had Latin, had a little bit of jazz. It had Street Life by the Crusaders. I mean, every time I hear these songs, I just revert back to Saturday mornings, Q102. So, do you happen to miss the show by any chance there, Adam?
Oh yeah, I did. It's I don't think there would be another show like that. I wish there was, but I do miss it though.
Yeah, what are you saying? I thought I had a show going on like that. I'm just kidding.
Well, now you've got me embarrassed. You're always talking how great I am. That's silly talk. I mean, I was there maybe the right time, the right place at the right time, playing the music you wanted to hear. And I'm a professional. I went out of my way to entertain you, to make sure that my audience liked what I was doing. So I worked hard at it. I mean, I was out every weekend to clubs, to high school dances, to weddings. I wanted to know what the public wanted.
Well, I'll tell you one thing, Lucky, like we said, we miss it terribly, and we know you're retired now, but hey, you're always welcome back here on KMVR, and we'll get into some more Lucky Pierre and some of these great shows and appearances he used to do. I remember seeing Lucky for one of the first times at the South El Monte Community Center. He was giving out 12-inch records of an artist named Patrick Juvet, I Love America or something. and I got one in 12 inches, and I had already started DJing. So every time I DJ somewhere, I was hired. I made sure that Lucky Pierre was on the ticket, because that was the only way that I can really get to be known, and then the rest is history. But nevertheless, Lucky, do you remember some of them appearances?
I remember the first time when disco first started. I was invited to make an appearance, to come to a high school dance, Nogales High School. It's the first high school I ever went to.
Wow.
And I saw everyone was having such a good time, and I thought, well, I had spent a whole career before coming to Los Angeles as a disc jockey back east, doing what we used to call then record hops. And so I was used to playing records in high school gyms or auditoriums. So I thought, hey, this is, I think it's time to get back to that for me. My first appearance was at the El Monte Community Center, South El Monte Community Center. That's my first disco dance.
Oh, wow.
And I didn't have any equipment or any, so I ran into a gentleman by the name of Joe Casada, who was a disc jockey, a mobile disc jockey, and also a nightclub disc jockey. And he said he had equipment. Make a long story short, he supplied the music and the equipment.
Oh, wow.
And we sort of formed a little partnership and started doing dances. He brought the sound equipment and I brought the lighting equipment. And we played every weekend, every Friday and Saturday at different schools from then on. But South El Monte Community Center was my first dance, my first appearance,
Hey, Adam, do you remember the first time you saw Lucky?
Oh, let's see. I would have to say.
Well, you must have been 10 years old at the time. I mean, it must have been junior high.
Hey, well, I'll let Adam think about that for a while. But basically, I just found out I was a part of history. I was at Lucky Pierre's first disco dance.
Well, I remember you were at Seamus O'Brien nightclub, and I was there many times with you. You were there with several other DJs, I guess, and you bought time at the radio station. Now, I was always amazed. You were young boys. I put it in the plural because you were one of many that did that. And you were all young, 19, 20-year-old boys, and you came to the radio station, and those commercials were expensive. I mean, I don't remember what you paid.
I do.
Yeah. And you were quite the young businessman, all you young disc jockeys of the day. And I know we always talk about Vindy Champagne and
Ricky Chaz. And
all your friends. And you were all young boys and starting out, you were entrepreneurs and you did a terrific job booking shows, booking nightclubs. I don't know if you made any money because nightclub owners were notorious at, cheating people. I don't know.
Well, we made great money because of the likes of you and other DJs that were popular at the time. We just didn't know how to save it. We were always, back then, we were worried
That's the problem.
we were worried how we dressed. I mean, we were 15 to whatever age, 16, 17, 18, 19, whatever. But we dressed like $1 million. That time was different. You had people like Zeidler and Judy's and GQ magazine and Vogue magazine. So back then it was different. Everybody was dressed up,
Yes,
I mean,
you're absolutely right. That was one thing that I loved. There were never fights at the dances.
Yeah,
everyone was dressed up, right, Adam? I mean, the men looked, the women always looked good.
With that suit jeans I remember ran.
Through time, women have always looked good at dances or parties. But the men, and I'm not knocking men, but let's face it, sometimes you see some pretty sloppy dudes out there, as we say. But in the disco era, everybody was
Everybody
sharp.
was sharp, yeah.
You looked good, and you looked so good. You didn't want to get into any fights, or
Yeah, exactly.
you didn't want to ruin your new tie, your new suit, whatever.
Yeah.
People
Well,
were having fun.
No, it ain't the lights in here. My eyes are just a little watery, just thinking back there. Or maybe it is the lights, I don't know. But nevertheless, I'll be back shortly with some more Lucky Pierre. Well, we were talking about the old days and the way we used to dress and the things we used to do. And
Yeah, what happened to us?
yeah, just a whole lot of things about them great days of disco.
Look at us now.
Hey, wait a minute. We got to speak for yourself here. But no, nevertheless, on the serious side, this generation, I have no idea what's going on. And I do hear some of the music they're listening to. And like I always say, to each his own. But I do happen to have here somebody who might be knowledgeable in that area. My music producer and co-host, Miss Lucy Flores. Can I have some input on that, please?
Yes, thank you, Greg, for having me on your show. And it's so awesome to hear you guys talk, to hear Lucky and Adam and yourself, Greg, talk about, stuff that happened back in the day, And it's really cool because I think right now there's a resurgence of, interest in that type of music from that era, like disco music.
Really?
Yeah, there is. I have a couple of friends that are DJs, and they're actually going back looking for vinyls. They use records. It's just so awesome to see, how you guys remember it. Because
now, you go to clubs yourself, Lucy, now? I mean,
yeah, I've gone to clubs, and I noticed that a lot of them have been starting to play from that songs from that era. Mm-hmm. Not too much, but it's starting to they kind of creep.
Coming back.
Yeah, it's coming back. Basically.
So they're like an oldie record that they would throw in during the dance.
Like an oldie disco, you mean, right?
Yeah, because I've gone to where was it last time? I think it was I don't know if you guys heard of, is it Holy Goalies or something in Downey? I don't know if you've heard about that.
Holy God.
Holy
yeah.
Ghost.
I've gone to it.
Yeah, and they play a lot of
Adam went there. He was the oldest guy there.
They play a lot of 80s music though.
Yeah, they play a lot of 80s music.
Yeah.
And it's really nice that every once in a while you hear a song from the disco or you hear songs from the 80s. And it's cool because it's stuff that I wasn't around to grow up listening to, but I had aunts and uncles and even my mom at that, you kind of get to experience what they experienced when they went to clubs when they were young, because you hear that music and something about that music is just it's such a cool thing.
Isn't that great?
You hear that?
Yeah, I think that's great. Isn't it great to hear Lucy say that they're using records? Them round things.
Yeah.
They have a little hole in the middle.
Yeah.
Lucky, how does that make you feel to know that there's a resurgence, like Lucy says, in the disco music?
Well, I think music that makes you feel good. Music is sort of the international language. It transcends all cultures and all nationalities. And if a song makes you feel good, it'll last forever, and your children will like it, and their children, and and there was just something about, and well, Lucy said it, that it makes you feel good, and maybe it brings back the past. I don't know. That's kind of deep. I don't know philosophically if I have that much experience, but I know how I felt when I heard those songs, and we're talking a long time ago. And now I still hear it occasionally. Some stations every now and then play a song, and it just something inside of you. Whoo! So great to hear again that particular song. Makes you want to jump up and dance and move. And I'm a lousy dancer, so
yeah, I've seen you.
Oh, I see.
I think that was a great input by Lucy because it made me feel good. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah, even the other day, Greg brought in a record from, what was it? Roflo. And I was like, what is that? That sounds so cool. And then I looked it up, because now on YouTube, you can look up anything and you find it. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's such a cool song. And I had never heard it before.
Yeah.
And when Greg brought it in, I was like, oh my gosh, that sounds so cool. It's just something about the just the way the songs are and the way the person in the song is singing, and it all just goes together. It's like a whole package kind of thing. It's really nice.
Yeah,
Really
well,
cool.
good songs never die. Everything, what karma goes around, or I don't know, all this.
Well, hearing Lucy and her generation, not far removed from my generation. I mean, there's a lot of years in between. But I do want to let the people out there listening know that disco has never died to a lot of us. You might have read it or seen that in a movie or heard it, whatever, but it never has. My opinion is that disco brought all the races together. And no matter what color you were, you went to a disco club and it didn't matter, man. It was all about the party, all about the music. And well, I really believe Lucky Pierre had a lot to do with that, because when he first brought that to the airwaves here in Southern California, man, it hit us hard and it hit us good. And it was a good feeling, and it still is. There's groups out there now, Back to Disco and Ricky Chaz Gonzalez and other people who started promoting parties again, and they've been doing it for 11 years, and I'm glad to hear that they're doing it. I'm glad to hear that people are still going to these parties and still loving the music. I hope they're listening to me. Well, I just want to say thank you to Lucky Pierre for being here today, and Adam as on the guest panel, and of course Lucy as the producer. In closing, I want to turn this over to Lucky. Maybe he has a short message for you all that maybe he wants to say to you.
Well, Greg, I want to thank you for having me on your show. And it's been fun talking about the old days, the past. It makes me sad, to be honest with you. And the more I don't want to cry about it because it's very emotional. But we move on. And all I can say to you and your listeners, again, thank you for remembering me, and keep the fever.
Lucky, wow, you surprised me with that one. I thought you forgot. Lucky always used to say, keep the fever. Once again, this is Greg Mirage Cosio here at KMVR, where content is king. We are the voice of the valley. And I hope you continue listening to us, because you will not only hear disco, you hear other great hits, but you will always hear me throw in a set or two. And once again, thanks to the great Mr. Lucky Pierre for being here on KMVR.